Okay, today I'm caught up with Andrew. Um, I like screening TIs and stuff like that. And Andrew and me's been talking for a few months now. I've seen him on a bunch of things, heard him talk. He's a real TI, and I appreciate him doing this interview to let not only victims understand what's going on with them that may not understand, but let people know this is real deal stuff. This is real serious thing going on with people. And I guess, the atrocities committed on people don't realize it unless it happens to them. So, Andrew, just go ahead and just, if you would, just introduce yourself and how long you've been targeted and when did you realize you were targeted?
Yeah, my name's Andrew. I live in Kansas, Manhattan, Kansas, in the States here. I know a lot of people like to be discreet and not tell where they're at, but I like to tell people where I'm at just to let people know that this is happening everywhere. But I first started noticing this in 2014, around that time. But this was happening to me way before that. I just didn't start noticing it till 2014.
So when you realized it, what did you experience? What was you experiencing it up to realizing it? What was you start like? How did your
Well,
stuff start?
well, it's without being too long-winded. My story is very, because I wasn't like in one place and then it started happening to me in one place. Because I've moved around a lot, especially in my 20s, and was kind of homeless, kind of a vagabond, I guess, literally going around from town to town, working and just living in hostels and drinking and partying and stuff like that most of the time. But I first to specifically answer your question, I was in the San Francisco Bay Area, and then I decided to go up to the Humboldt County, the Triangle, just to check it out. And these two, I was kind of homeless at the time, traveling around. These two people got on the bus, and they were very shady looking people. And I would never do this now, but they essentially, long story short, they invited me back to their place in the woods in like Arcadia, California. I mean, like I said, I was so naive back then, but I would never do this now. But they took me back in the woods and to their house, and it turned out they were weed growers, and I think they're on some other drugs too. But we just had a few drinks and stuff, and then they brought their pit bull out, and then they started doing this directed conversation thing. And this guy pulled out a knife, and then this big mean pit bull, and so they pretty much. I was worried they were going to like kidnap me and kill me. I mean, because it's just me against two guys, and I don't know what's, you know what I mean? I'm out here in the
Right.
middle of right here in the middle of the redwoods. I mean, people go missing out here all the time. And so, anyways, long story short, I book it out of there. Wind up going to Eureka, California, staying at the mission there, and I was getting gang stalked. I mean,
Oh yeah.
super hard inside the mission. It's almost like everybody working inside the mission knew about me, like before I came there. It was very bizarre. It's really weird. And they took something out of my bag, like this little, I don't know, those Swiss Army knife things that have all these, gadgets on them. I, carried one around with those when I was homeless, because, it's pretty handy, I guess. But they took that from my bag and I couldn't find it. And I always put it in the same place. And then like a week later, it popped up in my bag in that same place. Stuff like that. You
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about. Anyways, long story short, so I eventually wind up going to Seattle, and then I forgot where I went, Seattle, and then every place I went to was happening. So I went all the way back to Kansas City to kind of seek refuge at my dad's house.
And it
And
followed you there.
and my dad's just thinking I'm nuts. He's like, "You have done too many drugs," and I'm like, "No, I'm not even on drugs, Dad. I'm telling you, like, there's some weird stuff happening." And right when I moved in, and there was like all these people, because he lives in an apartment complex, like two or three people moved out of their apartments like overnight, and then like two or three people moved in. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, at first I'm like, all right, they can't have followed me all the way back to Kansas City. I mean, I'm halfway across the country. I mean, come on. I thought it
And
was
I
like,
feel
oh, yeah,
I
go
feel
ahead.
like this is an important thing to stop here and let anybody know. It there I wasted so much money in 2018. I had a little nest egg saved up. wasted it all traveling. I was in 6 states. Like Andrew said, it never stops wherever you move. So that's a pointer for target individuals thinking about taking off and running. It's going to follow you anywhere. What do you experience with being targeted, and what are some ways you cope with targeting? I know you say you get V2K a lot too, like me. So
Yes, and when I first, so I guess to answer your question, I get two types of targeting. I call it electronic harassment and gang stalking. So just to be simple, just to narrow down some, those are the two things. Electronic harassment, I get the V2K, artificial tinnitus, and I also get shocks and hit with directed energy weapons where I feel nauseous, stuff like that. And then I get the gang stalking. So when this first started happening to me, I got the gang stalking really hard. I did get the directed energy weapons of V2K, but it was more intermittent. Like it would go away like for a year and then it would come back and intermittently. But now now I don't get the gang stalking as much. I get very little gang stalking now, besides just people blinking their lights and whistling at me. But and now I just get the 24/7 V2K directed energy attacks and the artificial tinnitus. So
you were talking about the shocks and the vibrations. Have you noticed, like for me, when I close my eyes to lay down to take a nap, it gets worse. The shocks and the vibrations gets worse. I'm trying to figure out if anybody else experienced that. Like I could close my eyes right now on this sitting right here. I could close my eyes for about a minute and it's going to start. Shocks to the back of my brain and vibrations throughout my whole body. I was just wondering if it got worse for you when you closed your eyes.
I haven't experienced that yet, but they do other things with me, like because I play chess competitively, and they know that when I'm trying to concentrate, they'll try to they'll start zapping me in my legs and stuff. They try to figure out what annoys you and when to do it and stuff. These people are monsters. I mean, they're quite literally right up there with rapists and pedophiles, and they need to be locked up with those people, if not sentenced to death. But anyways, don't want to go off on a tangent. But these so I think they figure out uniquely whatever when to do it to the person. Like you, when you close your eyes, I do it to you, and the next person, they'll figure out what that pisses that person off, and
and that keeps us separated too, because some TIs will be like, well, I don't experience that. He's crazy. There's no way. I've been a TI for years and never experienced that. Do you think, like I personally think they hit everybody with different stuff just for the simple fact to keep us divided? Do you think that's a possibility?
Oh yeah. I mean, this is thought out years in advance. I mean, this is obviously, I mean, and yes, to answer your question, yes. And then I honestly think when they do shock you, it mimics, just like V2K mimics schizophrenia, it mimics other diseases like MS and nerve damage issues. So when you do go to a doctor, and you do go to a doctor and they say, well, what are you experiencing? Well, I'm getting these vibration in my legs. You're like, oh, okay, well, I think you have MS. And and then the second you pipe up and you start talking about directed energy weapons, I'm like, oh, okay, well, we're going to refer you to a psychiatrist. It's all thought out, well planned. And of course, go ahead.
Go ahead and finish.
Oh, and I said, and of course, like when you're getting checked up or getting scanned, they're going to stop hitting you with the DW, so there's no radiation that, or whatever.
Right. I do have something like this. This stuff right here is very good. These Agoraphobic smart drops, turkey tail mushroom, lion's mane mushroom extract. Very good stuff as far as brain fog. It's been helping us a lot. If you could check into that, it was, matter of fact, if you're a member of Roy's chat on WhatsApp, their links are in WhatsApp on there too. But it's been helping me and Holly very much with the brain fog and stuff and energy and stuff.
Okay.
So, it's turkey tails mushroom, lion's mane. It's got shiitake, reishi, cordyceps mushroom. It's a blend. And it's called Agoraphobic Smart Drops. Very good stuff, man. I think I sent it to you before. And one more thing I'm not one more thing, but I've talked to you about your gang stalking. Could you explain the level of fear when you were going through that stuff? Because you remember the stuff you told me, some of the stories you've told me about the gang stalking, how much fear they had you in. or
Yeah.
would you rather not talk about it?
No, I'm completely open. I mean,
Okay.
that's why I'm on this call right now. But I have the most horrific gang stalking stories, and I know your story too, David, and it sounds like you
Yeah.
do too. But like I'll give a couple examples. One time um I was in Colorado, and I was on a Greyhound, and I was in Wyoming first, and they were gang stalking me all the way from Cheyenne to Fort Collins. And then I got off in Fort Collins, and they were all like, had all these thug gang Mexican looking dudes with teardrops and like neck tats, and you know what I mean. Um, and what they do is they contract these gangs out to do this harassment. Anyways, but I just to describe the level of gang stalking. I mean, they literally would have like pull out knives and like threaten my life. And I took a bus all the way to Boulder, and it seemed to stop for a little bit when I went to Boulder. And I stayed in a shelter, and then they all moved into the shelter. You know, all these thug looking dudes. Then you had these Aryan Brotherhood looking guys, and you know they get the whole gambit of people. You get the Christian conservatives that go and they'll follow you into churches. And essentially, what happened is, one day one day I went out and had a few beer, was partying and stuff, and then the next morning, like the whole town, it was like a organized, literally organized stalking. I mean, you had police officers, soccer moms, they had little kids
Yep.
riding around on bikes. I mean, the whole town was like told this slander campaign about me, like I was like a terror, like a child molester or something. I mean, they had to tell these people something that was completely false. I mean,
I can
uh,
remember way back in 2011 when mine first started. I was in a Walmart parking lot, and I was in a little town that I grew up in. I felt like I'd feel safe there. Got gang stalked, and it was like 2 or 3 in the morning. I was just driving because I didn't understand what gang stalking was. I stopped in the parking lot. The parking lot was empty. Then 4 or 5 of my friends from high school, I kid you not, circled me like a shark in that parking lot. Like I was it's
yeah,
late night in a small town, nobody's there. Circled
yeah,
like a shark. And man, it blew my mind. I ended up freaking out that night, it was crazy, man. Just the level they go to freak us
yeah,
out and try to make us commit suicide, the lengths they go, and it's innocent people. It's not like there's people like, it's like they leave real criminals alone and go after innocent people who's just minding their business trying to make it in this world. So,
yeah.
uh,
So to finish the story, though, I
okay,
was
I'm sorry.
no, that's all right. I was in Boulder, and then I was so, I mean, talk about trauma. Uh, I took a bus all the way down to Colorado Springs because there's this bus that goes all the way from Fort Collins, dang near Wyoming, all the way down to South. So I went to Colorado Springs. I had to check into this like psych unit, like slash detox, just to get away from all of it. And they came inside that. There were people that came inside that, and so I check out of that place. I have like, I think $20 to my name and a cell phone. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And all I got the clothes on my back. And this is where, spirituality comes in. I just prayed to God, like, I just want to go back to Kansas, get back to Kansas. It's probably going to be happening there too. But for some reason, Colorado is a hotbed because I believe they have all kinds of military, like intelligence stuff inside the mountains and or something. They had the Schriever Air Force Base, I think, is around there somewhere. But so anyways, I hitchhike from Colorado Springs to Limon, California, or sorry, Colorado. And they were like all on the highway, like doing these, like this person was on the highway, like in the middle of the highway doing jumping jacks, stuff like that, just
Mm-hmm.
bizarre stuff to catch your attention. I mean, I think it's funny now if they do that stuff, but back then I didn't really know what it was and what was happening. But anyways, long story short, I ended up found this Christian guy that was going to St. Louis who took me straight to Manhattan, Kansas, and so it was kind of like a godsend. But I mean, just that kind of stuff with gang stalking, like I mean, like a week long gang stalking episode. That's what I call it. Just traumatizes you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Psalms 91. I learned that Psalms. I could quote it right now. It helped me through a lot of that gang stalking stuff because I was like you, man. I was getting gang stalked hard. two people sat down on a bus, said, "You're coming with me." That's a long story. We won't go in and get, just crazy stuff, and have you in
Yeah.
so much, you're in fight or flight constantly. So yeah, I can relate to that too. Are you able to hold down a job? For me, they bullied me so bad at work and stuff. I ended up getting a lawsuit on one of them, but that's neither here nor there. But they would always gang stalk me very bad at jobs, and I would end up having to quit. I don't wonder if you experienced that, or they would hit me with V2K so bad, especially when I didn't understand what was going on, that I had all these conversations going on, and I'm trying to ring up people's orders at McDonald's or
Yeah.
Casey's Pizza or somewhere, and I can't concentrate, so I just walk out. I'm just wondering if you're able to hold down a job, and if so, how you manage.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I am. I have hopped around quite a few jobs in the last couple of years due to this program and some other things. But yes, I do most of the time. I do have a job, and I have had all different types of jobs. I usually work in restaurants. I work in a restaurant right now, and it's all the same thing. They hit me with a V2K, but I've learned different techniques on how to adapt to it, and how and I do play chess competitively, which requires an enormous amount of
I play
concentration.
chess.
Yeah, and it's I do like one tournament a week, and it's you know to me, I look at it as like a game. Like let's see how productive I can be while I'm getting hit with this. I try to make it like a challenge for myself.
That's
And I
in,
think
that's yeah, that's very good.
and
I
I, and
never
I think
thought about that. Make it a challenge, just to
yeah, and I
show.
think yeah,
And there
yeah,
was times, I did have a few serious suicide attempts and was in the hospital, 2 blood transfusion from attempts and coma for 5 days from an attempt. But there was
well,
times when I was ready to end it, and I was like you, just I know that's what they want me to do, so I'm not going to do it. And it's really saved my life a couple times. So yeah, but that's a good point right there. So you hear what he said. He uses getting through the day and not letting it bother him, and seeing how much of a challenge he could put up to fight back and be productive. And I think that's a very good outlook right there, and a tactic to use. So, what advice would you give to other TIs going through this? Like
well,
the V2K, like there's different things. Like just break it down, like the weapons, which advice, gang stalking, and the V2K.
so the biggest advice I give, especially to new targets, and there are a lot of those nowadays, um, is with the gang stalking. I know this is going to be really hard, but unless somebody actually physically harms you or comes up and puts their hands on you, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to do anything to you. They're trying to scare you. They're going to threaten you. They're trying to get you to freak out, call the paramedics, leave your job. They're trying to ruin your life, and so just ignore it. And I've done this technique, and I started to do it, and this is one of the reasons I think they've stopped gang stalking me, because it doesn't work. Uh, I just laugh at them because it's funny to me. It's funny, like, damn, I must be really important that they have 20 of these people follow me around. Like, damn, like I'm like Jason Bourne or something. Like, I mean, I got to be like some really important dude. I mean, but anyway, so try to ignore the gang stalking, and it will. The more you ignore it, it will stop, or they will at least tone it down considerably. Because if they're not getting a reaction out of you, then they're going to stop doing it. They're going to try. They want to try to find anything they're going to get a reaction out of you. And so if you're getting workplace stalked, that happens a lot. Like, say wherever workplace you work in a restaurant, you work in a hotel, or whatever you're doing. You're a nurse. They're going to come in there. They're going to do slander campaigns. Just be wise. Don't say anything to anybody, and just go to work, do your job, and just ignore it. Be like a duck on water, like a water on a duck. Sometimes you can't help it, and they're going to lie about you and try to get you fired. But I would suggest try to keep that job and just don't say anything to anybody. If somebody converses to you, say hi, bye. And if you got a friend at work, say I'll talk to you after work. Stuff
Right.
like that. Just ignore it. Now, about the electronic harassment, the biggest thing that I can recommend is, if you're getting hit with V2K, what they will do. This is I'm not an engineer. I don't know all the techno, but just my experience. There's 2 types of V2K. There's stuff that obviously is coming in your head, and then I call it directional V2K. And so when I say that, I'm in my apartment, and they'll make it sound like somebody's knocking on the wall, and then telling you like they're going to come in there and stab you or something, or they're going to come in there and shoot you and tie you up and kill your family or something like that. And so what that's designed to do is to make you think it's your neighbor, it's your person upstairs, and so that they want you to act out on that person. And I see this all the time. Now, don't get me wrong, they do use your neighbors in gang stalking, so that does happen. But if you're hearing the voice, almost all the time, it's directional V2K. And they do the same thing, like if you go outside and you'll hear like a whistle or your name. Now they do that stuff with the gang stalking, but a lot of times if you're hearing it, it's V2K and it's sounding like it's coming from over there, or sounding like it's coming from over there, or it's they want you to think like it's your neighbor, it's your it's your boyfriend or your wife trying to communicate with you in your head. It's most of the time it's not. Most of the time it's not, and so that's the biggest. Don't believe anything they say. I mean, they told me they were the cartel, they were the Aryan Brotherhood, doing an experiment on me. They tell me that once I get my shit together, they're going to approach me and offer me a job. I mean, they tell me all kinds of stuff, and it goes in one ear and out the other. I mean, it's not literally my ears because it's coming from my head, but it just slides right off my back. I don't believe anything they say, and so that's the biggest suggestion I would give the new targets. Ignore the gang stalking, and don't believe the V2K.
Right, because I can remember one time when my V2K first started that they were literally making my friend. It sounded just like one of my best friends. Hey, over here behind the bush, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you. Yes. And I walked and looked behind the bush. Oh, you really thought we were behind the bush? Nobody's behind the bush, dude. You're going crazy. I mean, and it's real. People who's never experienced it will not understand it, but this stuff is just weird. And the crazy thing is there's patents and all kinds of evidence out on V2K, and people still don't believe it.
Yeah.
You got patents, you got audio spotlight that can do. There's all kinds of examples I've seen on YouTube of how they do it.
Well, I believe this is going to get exposed, but bottom line, a lot of people aren't going to believe it unless it's happening to them. Or a lot of people, I hate to say it, but a lot of people are so complacent, especially in the Western world, because we're so used to, we're kind of really complacent. I mean, if you think about it, these modern advancements in technology and conveniences are relatively new to human society. I mean, we weren't always able to like, oh, my shoes are worn down. I'm just going to go to Walmart and get some shoes, or I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to order some shoes off Amazon, or oh, I need a new shirt. I'm going to go to the store and get a new shirt, or hey, we need some food. I'm going to go buy a pizza, or this is kind of relatively new as far as human society goes. And in the Western world, we're so complacent that I'm not going off on a tangent, but even if people, this targeting is happening to them and it is coming via the government, the people are gonna say, okay, what's that has to do with me? It's not happening to me. So I mean, I got a job and a mortgage and a family, and unfortunately, most people don't care. But this is affecting us right now, but this is affecting everybody. I mean,
yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you think that eventually everybody will be hooked to it as some kind of form of control, where if you get out of line, kind of like thought police stuff, where if you get out of line or not doing what society wants you to do or something like that, that you're going to be hooked? I think everybody's going to be hooked up to it eventually, is what I think. And it's going to be sort of like that social credit score stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're laughing at us now, but really they're going to come to us asking for help on how to deal with it when it starts happening to everybody. But that's just my belief.
Yeah. I mean, there's no mistake this is happening to us. And I mean, to answer the question, yes. I mean, I honestly think that everybody's hooked up now, or being hooked up now, and they're just not. They just don't. I literally think they're hooking everybody's brain up to some type of supercomputer. So there's going to be some new society where there's preemptive policing, and there's going to be a time where you get sentenced, you get a sentence, but they don't have to put you in prison.
All right.
They can put you in a prison right inside your house.
Yep.
And it's all, stuff like that. I mean, um, bottom line, these people are evil, and these people are. This is the biggest. This is my opinion. This is the biggest issue in human history. Literally, I mean, this is bigger than. And I'm not putting saying slavery wasn't a big deal, or wars in the past, but this right here is the biggest issue to ever happen in human history, because we've never had this type of technology before. We can literally hack into other people's brain. I mean,
Yep.
this is, and of course, I am a Christian, but I don't like to talk in detail about my worldview, my Christian worldview, because it turns some people off. And so, but this is where my worldview comes in, is as far as it, the
Feel
entire.
free to talk about it. But I see
Yeah.
why I tell you, my viewers know that I don't look down on people who don't believe the way I believe. I'm a Christian too. So you can feel free to talk about that too if you wanted to. But
Yeah.
have you had, let me ask you this, did you deal with the isolation, like when they isolated you, did you go through isolation? Some TIs, well, a lot of TIs go through the isolation thing. If so, could you explain kind of how they done it, or what you noticed about everybody? Like for me, I'll give an example. For me, my family and friends and stuff just all stopped talking to me, all started looking at me weird, acting weird around me, slowly drifted off until I had nobody. And I didn't know why. And I kept asking why. Nowhere got stonewalled. They like stonewalling too, where you'll get accused of something, or they'll beef up this big what am I trying to say? They'll beef up this big story about you. They love doing it on Facebook and Twitter too, or anywhere, and then they'll hang up on you and block you where you don't have a chance to defend yourself. I mean, what did you go through as far as them isolating you from everybody, if they did do that?
Yeah, yeah. And to answer your question, yes, they've done all that to me, and I completely stopped getting on social media for the time being. I might get back on in the future and have a few selected friends.
Well, not just social media, like family too.
Yeah, yeah. No, I was so when this first started happening, I was completely isolated. I mean, at times I'd stay at my dad's house, and he would just get pissed off because he'd be like, "Hey, man, you need to wake up. Nobody's following you around." And he'd get pissed off. And that's what the program's designed for you to do. It's designed for you to all your friends and family to get irritated at you, or just write you off as a schizophrenic or delusional. And I was afraid to go to the grocery store. I was afraid to go into work. I would carry weapons around on me and stuff. I mean, I carry weapons around on me now, but I'm not really worried about it now. But I mean, like back then, I thought that I literally thought the cartels had a hit out on me, and that the people that were following me were like, there was like a multi-million-dollar hit out on me, and like they were gonna whack me whenever I'd try to go home from work, because I didn't know what it was.
Right.
So to be isolated, I was completely isolated. I mean, I remember a family friend died, a good friend, and I didn't even want to go to his funeral because I was so scared, which is sad now. But I was just locked up in my house, and I would just literally just drink myself to death. I mean, I would just drink all day, and because that's how I cope with it. I mean, I would just get drunk and just hide myself in the house. I had weapons. I had a 9mm that I would keep underneath my bed, loaded and stuff. And I had weapons like a crossbow, a 9mm. You know what I mean? And just
Right.
I don't really do that stuff now to that extent, but and that you said, is there any advice I would give? That's another thing I left out. Every morning I wake up, I read a scripture out of the Bible. I go take a walk around the park. I mean, I'm out. I go to chess club. I go to church. I'm at the library right now. I'm not letting these people stop me. You know what I mean?
I admire you for that, because I'm agoraphobic. I've become agoraphobic because of that. Like, you feel like the paparazzi. Like, if I get around too many people or leave this house, I start getting panic attacks. Like, my chest starts, I can't breathe and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
so I'm I'm diagnosed agoraphobic because of this stuff. And I hope one day I can overcome it. But I commend you for that, man, because I haven't left the house since December of 2022. Like real
Yeah,
talk.
yeah. I don't know if about actual medical anxiety issues, but I believe you can get over it.
Yeah,
But
like I've been prescribed Ativan and all that, and it still don't work. Like, cause I don't know. And then it's part of me. I don't want to go out there and make a fool and confront one of these people because I'm bad about confronting people like that. You know what I'm saying? And get in trouble again. You know.
yeah,
So, but
but
I
if you
commend you for that, man. That's a good advice. Don't let them keep you in. And it's better coming from you because you've accomplished it. So,
well, I mean, I'm still going through it, but I would just, for your own psyche, unless you have an actual medical condition or something that's keeping you inside. I know I've met one woman that's blind, and they're targeting her, which is horrible. So it's just get out and I would recommend, unless something's keeping you inside, get out and do stuff. Force yourself to, because I do all kinds of stuff. I'm out here walking around, and I'm not worried about anybody coming up on me. You know what I mean? But and so to me, it's um, just don't let these people stop you, because that's what they want you to do. And I do stay informed. I watch gang stalking videos, and I get on calls and stuff. Almost every other day, I'm on a call. But I don't just stay at my house and just always be watching gang stalking videos. Go read a book. Whatever you like to do, go do that. Go on a walk. That's one of the biggest some of the advice I would give to people,
have,
especially if you're
have,
new.
have you ever experienced a honeypot?
Yes, one
If
time.
so, could you explain it? I just like
Yes,
covering all the basis of what you go through. My wife was a honeypot, so you know I find it interesting in different honeypot stories, because the psychology behind it all and how they trick us and stuff. And
yeah, I've experienced it a few times. One times, well, I'm for sure it was a honeypot. Was There's this woman, I was working at this hotel in Kansas City, and me and her hit it off, I guess, so to speak. And she, when I hung out with her and stuff, she would, it was obvious that she was a honeypot, because she'd be texting people and stuff. And then, just all the typical perp stuff. She was definitely paid to do this. And then I stopped talking to her, but I would be in her apartment, and like there'd be people knocking on the walls next door. And then whenever we go somewhere, there'd be people following her, and then she would look at them and like give a little like nod or something, or she'd be on her phone, or like, just smirking and stuff. And that's when I stopped hanging out with her. And another thing she did, I don't mean to be too specific on this, or inappropriate, but she was trying to get me to. She was trying to get pregnant, in a weird way. And I know some girls are like that, but
yeah, but that would have locked you down, and she would then boom, honeypot for real. She would have been with you for a long time because you'd have had no, if you think about it, that would
yes,
have locked you down.
yes. And so I was very careful. I mean, she was like going into the bathroom and everything, like locking herself in the bathroom. Like, what are you doing in there? She's like, oh no, just. And after that, I was just like, man, this girl's trying to catch me up for real. So I just had to, I just stopped messing with her. And I don't think they expected that. I think they expected me to keep on messing with her. So I thought it was kind of funny. And she called me up like, hey. And I'm like, what's up? What do you want? She's like, oh, just not checking up on you. And I'm like, all right, bye.
Good job, man. Good job. Yeah, because I think I run across a lot of honeypots that come. I'm with Holly, so I think a lot of them, people try to worm their way in and cause problems, but it never works. We always see through it, thank God.
Yeah.
So let me see what else I got. Do you have any health problems from this? Has it caused you any health problems that you know of, or
I mean, other than just, I'm pretty sure I have PTSD, but I'm not ready to go get medication or anything. But I definitely have PTSD. My joints are click and pop, and I think that I do think it's because of the directed energy weapons and
Yeah,
also.
my elbow right here, my
Mhm.
elbow on my arm has been intense pain lately. I'm talking about intense, hurting very,
Yeah.
very bad. And I just it comes and goes. So I think they're doing it, because they got the ability to do this stuff silently. And you might want to blame it on whatever, but I've never experienced the pain I've been experiencing the last few weeks in my left arm ever. And I know it's
Yeah.
not heart problems because people's going to say, well, heart problems show up in your left arm. No, because my heart's fine. I've been taking my blood pressure and all that. So, but yeah, severe pain. And I'm talking about severe pain. I can't even move my elbow sometimes, bend it, whatever. And, I haven't worked in a long time. So it's not from that. So,
Yeah, and then another thing that I fell victim to is drinking to excess, because sometimes I feel like that's the only thing that I have to turn to, um, is the alcohol. And I know I can't directly blame, oh, it's somebody else's fault that I'm making the decision to drink, but sometimes it's like, man, it's hard to do this. I mean, David, but it's so
I've,
to me,
I've been there with the drinking as well, you know.
yeah, it's really easy for me to pick up a bottle and just for a couple minutes, for a couple hours, I'm not thinking about this. And it ultimately ends up biting me harder, because when I have a hangover, then they hit me even harder.
Yeah,
And
when you wake up, it's like, dang, I'm getting hit again. So it's a temporary fix.
yeah,
Uh,
so I would recommend not, if you're using alcohol or drugs, and they do like to target people that use drugs, especially people that are doing methamphetamine, and other stimulants. I would recommend finding a way to stop using alcohol and drugs.
right. And what do you think? What do you think the end game is for this? Do you think it will stop? Do you think it's already the grid's already set and there's no turning back now? Robert Duncan said that. Uh, because I think if you cancel the 702 FISA list, the terrorist watch list, whatever, even if you cancel that out, targets are still going to be targeted because not everybody that's targeted is on that watch list. Uh, you know, um, I'm pretty sure I am because I've seen in the back of a car on the screen a violent person approach with caution, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But I think even if you cancel the FISA 702 list, it's still going to go on because not everybody's on that list. I mean, you got people that ain't even in America that's worldwide that's being targeted. So I'm just wanting to know your opinion on it.
So, I mean, yes, I do think it's going to stop. I think it's going to go on probably for a while. Um, so one time my dad did a background check on me, because he worked as an accountant in Kansas City for a pretty decent firm, and he had the access to where he had this computer program where he can just essentially type in your name and your social security number, and it would do a background check. He did a background check on me, and it came up suspected fraudulent alias or something, like suspected something. I'm paraphrasing, but it said like suspected, um, like uses multiple names or something, or because
Yeah.
fraudulent. And I was like, what is this? Like, I've never used it. Whenever I've got a job, I've always presented my identification. So I do think that I'm on some type of watch list. Um, but to answer your question, I do believe that this is going to stop now, because these are humans that are perpetrating this behind the technology. They are using AI and stuff and hooking your brain up to a chatterbox and stuff like that. But there are humans behind this technology. Now, I believe, just like any other human organization, if you look at churches, any other institution, they all have quarrels amongst themselves and split up. There's so many people involved in this. I believe that, what's the term? You give somebody enough rope, they'll
They'll
hang
hang
themselves.
themselves.
Yeah, and so I believe that these people are actually going to quarrel amongst themselves, and there's going to be whistleblowers coming out, more whistleblowers coming out, and people that are going to get angry at each other within the program, and then come out, and they'll end up hanging themselves. That's what I
Right.
believe. Just like any other organization. Now, this is so complex and deep seated in our society, and there's secrets. I mean, there's EMS workers involved in this. I mean, business owners, retired, all different people in society, people in the military, people ex-military, intelligence, ex-FBI, current FBI. A lot of these people that are perpetrating, especially the gang stalking, don't actually know that they're gang stalkers. And it's by no mistake that a lot of the gang stalkers actually really aren't that intelligent to begin with, because you
Right.
can't have somebody that's really intelligent and try to coerce them into harassing and torturing people, because you have to make them believe that they're actually a patriot and you're doing your society some type of good by doing this. Now, I'm not going off of some tangent. I'm just saying, you asked the question on, do I believe there's an end game? Yeah, yes, but it's very complicated, and it's gonna. I think we're in a very good chance of we're seeing kind of the last days of the United States or American empire, and just on all fronts. I'm not even talking about the gang stalking harassment. I'm talking about economically and the economy and the U.S. dollar and our military. A lot of people don't even want to join the military anymore. A lot of people don't want to have kids anymore. You got all these people, coming out as transgender and non-binary. And I'm not saying anything bad about those folks. I'm just saying there's a lot of trickery going on right now, and I think that what could stop this, because I believe this is happening worldwide, but I believe it stems from the Central Intelligence Agency in the United States. I believe what could stop this is a complete collapse of our society as we know it, or like a collapse of the dollar, or some type of oil crisis where oil skyrockets, and when oil skyrockets, then everything is brought to stores by trucks that run off oil, and so everything's
Right.
going to rocket, and then we're going to have a complete collapse of our economic system and our government, and the top priority list is not going to be gang stalking people. It's going to be other stuff, and that something like that could trigger the stop of this program. But I mean, the technology is out there, and I think it's coming to light. And I'll give an example. I just recently had to go to jail for a couple days. Nothing serious, but I met this is everywhere now, and I met two people in the jail that said that they were getting V2K and they've had it for years. And so they're doing this to so many people, and that's just in my small town. I live in a small college town in Kansas, in the middle of Kansas, and so this is happening to so many people. When I was in Colorado, the word gang, in the homeless community, the word gang stalking was a common word. Everybody knew about gang stalking because they were doing it to each other. I mean, so there's so many people involved in this that um, it has to come to an end. I mean, there's no way that something like this cannot get exposed, you know. And I
I
think the
got
people that are perpetrating this, I think they excuse me, I think they actually know it. I think they know that they're on the cusp of this coming out. But go ahead.
somebody shared this document with me, and I can post it in a picture with you in YouTube after this. If anybody wants to look at it, I can. It's got the seal and everything. Somebody shared this with me. It's Presidential Commission for the Study of the Bioethical Issues, July 27, 2011. It says, Dear commenter, we are writing to advise you on our ongoing work and plans for the next meeting of the Presidential Commission for the Study of Bioethical Issues. We appreciate the time that you have taken to engage with us. We'd like to clarify for your information that the Commission is not investigating or reviewing any concerns or complaints concerning claims about targeted individuals. This includes claims concerning MK Ultra, COINTELPRO, electromagnetic torture, attacks, organized stalking, remote influence, uh, microwave harassment, covert harassment, surveillance, human trafficking, psychotronic, psychotropic weapons, radio frequency. As such, the Commission will not hear further testimony on these subjects. Many of these issues have been investigated in the past. The Commission is not a law enforcement regulatory. It does not control any federal monies. In addition, it has no involvement, as it says, as advisor to the president, we will ensure that all your concerns, information, testimony are provided to the White House. We sincerely appreciate your interest in the work of the commission, time you've taken to share your personal story with us. Valerie Bogan, Executive Director. I just think that, I don't know, I just wanted to throw that in there. That was in 2011. This has been going on a long time, and people just don't want to hear it. And why do you think that is? That they
Well, I mean,
refuse to investigate it?
well, let me start by this. I mean, I talked to a lot of TIs, as so do you, Dave. Um, I get on calls almost every other night talking to people, and there's all kinds of different, I'm going to call them quack theories. I'm not making fun of people, and because some people are so traumatized that they don't know what else to think. So I'm not making fun of their trauma or anything. But there's a lot of quack theories. I mean, like reptilian shapeshifters, all kinds of just crazy stuff. Some of these people are paid to come disrupt, but that's a different subject. But what I'm trying to say is that a lot of people think like, oh, it's Russia or China, or it's not the government. It's like a secret cabal of like Freemasons, like in the Bohemian Grove, like doing worship rituals on like calves and stuff. I mean, that's not what's going on. Uh, what's going on is that this is about money. The more people they put on the suspected terrorist screening database list, the more people they put on that list, the more funding they get. The more times the local police department gang stalk you, the more funding they get from the federal government. This is about funding, and this is real technology. Now, I mean, what I'm trying to say, without going off a tangent, is that people have these other theories about where this comes from, but who has the infrastructure and the funding to be able to follow you everywhere you go, track every single electronic device that you have? I mean, even huge infrastructures like the cartel, and they don't even have this level of infrastructure. So who has that? Who has that infrastructure and that funding? Well, our government has that funding. That's who has the funding. That's where this is coming from. It is coming from the CIA and the FBI, the Fusion Center.
I threw away my phone in 2018 for 2 months. Still got hit, still got attacked, and I was moving place to place. I even was in the swamp for 25, 30 days without a phone or nothing, and still experienced V2K, got hit and everything. Now I wasn't stalked because I was way back in the swamp, but and I just really think, so do you buy the idea that the neural signature can be tracked?
Yeah. But let me answer this first question here. Is that to finish it up, I've called the FBI multiple times, written letters, left voicemails, and when I do get responded back to, it's always the same BS. And the reason they're ignoring you is because they're the ones doing it. I mean, you got to put two and two together here. There's no way that these people don't know that these frequencies are traveling through the air. They know everything that's going on at all seconds. I mean, they have this whole the whole world mapped out. I mean, you don't mean to tell me they don't know this is going on? And the reason that they're ignoring it is because they're the ones that are involved in it.
That's I got laughed at and hung up on a couple of times in 2018 by the FBI. So yeah.
They'll tell you you need to go see a doctor, a psychiatrist. They know. I'm not going to say that the person that answers your phone at the FBI, the operator, knows what's going on, but they're told what to say. I mean, these people are told what to say. But no, what were you saying? What was the other question?
Oh, that's really about it. I was going to ask you your opinion on like, do you get scripts ran on you, like street theater scripts and stuff still, or is that pretty much stepped off, like license plates? I don't leave the house, so what they'll do is they'll pull in the driveway, sit there for 5 or 6 minutes, and then they'll switch drivers and pull out. And one or two times, in a month, that's normal. But 7 or 8 times, in a month, pulling in your driveway in a neighborhood that's not a bad neighborhood, pretty quiet neighborhood, and you know what I'm saying? Or they'll pull right in front of the house. They'll act like they're getting something out of the back of the car, and they'll sit there with it for a minute, and then they'll get back in the car. Matter of fact, I think I got one of them videos on YouTube where they're doing that. Just little skits, you know what I'm saying? Or they'll have a license plate. What was that license plate? What did it say? Burning up. You're getting hit going down the road. My girlfriend was getting hit going down the road. I'm talking about bad. She's got those pictures to prove it. And this dude cut her off and got in front of her, and the license plate said "burning up."
They've done all that stuff with me. I mean, that they have done the FBI floating box thing on me. Now, if they are doing stuff like that, I don't notice it because I don't care. And when I do notice it, I think it's funny. Literally, Like I literally think it's funny. I mean, I should bring some popcorn with me so I can literally sit down and watch it happen. Just
So
that's how
you're
funny.
stronger than me on the gang stalk, and these weapons, I deal with them. I cope with them with God, spirituality, prayer, uh, perseverance. But I'm the type I want to
Mhm.
confront them. I guess I don't know. I want to. What's up, man? Let's see you about that life. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the reasons I try to stay in my cage.
Yeah, and
um,
so the extent of what they do to me now is, those little clown horns that they have at the carnival, like do 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 do.
yeah,
Sometimes when I'm walking to the store, um, they do this air horn thing where they go or they'll do do do, and they've done it to me throughout the years. Now, like I said, now I just think it's funny, and
yeah.
I and I just look at it as their way of saying hey or hi, and I'm just like I just laugh. And the other day I went to the store and they had all these thug looking dudes like follow me, um, like acting like they're fighting each other. And then when I got out of the store, they were waiting for me. Now, when this first started happening to me, I would have like went the other way and ran and like tried to duck behind building. But now I just literally walked right through them,
With your
like
head held high. Yeah.
yeah, and because I have a blade on me, and I have if they want to, but I literally just ignored him. And there was this other gang stalker guy who was coming around the corner, and he was looking at me like walking to me all aggressive, I just completely ignored him. And then he stopped, and then he got all pissed off because I had no reaction. So that's what they do now, that kind of stuff. But like I said, with the gang stalking, I think they've kind of given up. Besides a few little tactics, like they'll blink their lights at me sometimes when it's dark, but I mean, to me, I just think it's funny.
What's your
You know,
advice about people that are being set up to be Manchurian candidates and being told to go act out in violence and stuff? What's your advice to them? Because I think that's very important that we warn these TIs not to do the stuff. I know you're going to say the same thing I'm saying, not to
yeah,
do this stuff because, Myron May went out of his way, made videos and everything, hoping this would get some exposure. They didn't recognize his videos at all in the news, and they didn't say nothing about his videos. And he made the video saying he was going to do them.
yeah.
Anybody else, it would have been on the news. Oh, he made videos up to the time. Well, they didn't mention it. They kept it hush hush. So, what's your advice on somebody that they're trying to tell to do some violence or who wants to go act out in violence on purpose? Because I
Yeah,
try to keep this channel anti-violent and make people realize, look, it's not going to be, it's not the answer. It's just going to hurt you and hurt the community as a whole. So,
yeah, yeah. And about that Martin May thing, I actually heard that he actually sent packages to his relatives, and that the FBI actually intercepted those packages, and
hmm.
then didn't deliver them until after the incident or whatever.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear that. I'm glad. Wow.
That's what I heard too.
And so
Sorry,
you agree with me on the violence thing. It's not the answer.
yeah, and like I was saying, is that is their whole goal. That when you act out violently, or when you approach your next door neighbor and tell them that you threaten them, they're winning. You have lost and they have won.
Yep.
So
Because then they can lock you away.
yes, this is what they want, and so they are winning, and you are letting them win. And so I do think that some people, and I don't know if it's innate or whether it's because of past experiences, getting bullied or stuff, whatnot. Some people are stronger in the mind than others.
Right.
Um, and so I could have easily been somebody, a school shooter, or I could be easily locked up in prison for the rest of my life right now when this was happening to me early on,
Same here.
easily, because I didn't know what was going on. Now, you just have to be strong, and I had the mind state of this is happening to me. I'm getting persecuted. This is what it is. I'm going to live the best possible life I can, and I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to become better because of this. You know what I mean?
Right.
You cannot act out on violence, and you cannot, like I said, don't believe what the V2K says. The V2K is a disguise itself as my mother, my relatives, my girlfriend. They said that they were the Aryan Brotherhood, and they wanted me to join the ABs. They said all kinds of weird, just fantastic stuff, and none of that's true. So you cannot believe the V2K, and you must not think that it's your neighbor or your boyfriend or your wife or your husband trying to communicate with you through your head. Because that's the whole goal, is they want you to commit an act, threaten, or they want you to flip out and go shoot up a school or something. And
Right.
so, I mean, these people are really sick, disgusting people. I mean,
What would your advice be to the TIs who are getting tortured so bad they cannot possibly work? Because some people are getting burnt so bad, or they get burnt with direct energy weapons so bad that they can't work. And then some of them are on disability and they really get tortured and are going through it with the weapons and stuff. What would be your advice to them?
Like I said, I know a woman who's blind that they're doing this to, is disabled and blind, and they can't do the gang stalking to her, so they have to do like projections and stuff.
Hmm.
I think that's horrible that they would do something like that to somebody. But uh, if I were in a situation where I wasn't able to get out of the house or I was disabled, I would try to be as active as I can. And I would honestly, I would try to pray. I would try to get a relationship with God and try to be as active as you can. If you can't walk, if you're in a wheelchair, take up crocheting, or I play chess. So read books. Keep your mind active.
Right.
Don't hang yourself up listening to gang stalking videos all day, and it's okay to be informed and stuff. And I'm not saying don't you know don't be in the community, but do something else. You know what I mean? If you can't walk, or if you're disabled, or you can't get out of the house very often, then cook some food or something, or find out how to cook your favorite. Start collecting food recipes, or just do something.
No, right. Find a hobby.
Yeah, keep your mind active. Get
Yeah.
involved with the online. There's plenty of like Bible studies and stuff you can get involved in, and I mean, there's all kinds of stuff you can do if you put your mind to it.
Does listening to music help your V2K personally?
Yes, it does. When my mind is active, when I'm really concentrating on something, it kind of diminishes.
Mm.
But what they do is, people call this different things, but they'll kind of go, like, say if I'm watching a movie, they'll kind of go into sounds and change the sounds. I don't know if
Yeah.
you expect that. Like, they'll almost like change the way I hear it when it. So when I'm watching a movie, they'll like, I don't mean to cuss or anything, but they'll be like "fuck you" or something like that. Like when I'm listening to it, like it'll, you know what I mean? Like it'll say that in the movie or something. Like,
Do
or
they is your do they mess with your phones and stuff? Like your hack your phones and stuff like that?
oh
Have they
yeah,
ever? Yeah.
yeah, they do all that stuff. For a couple of days, they were tried to log into my online banking, for like 5 days in a row, all at 4 a.m. every morning. So they'll do stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't really get.
Or send text messages, like if you ever get a text message from me cussing you out or something, don't believe it, because they love doing that too. They can control your text messages, they can control Messenger, so before, if you're a TI and you get a message from another TI and it's not, don't sound like them and it's very mean, I would check it out before I just wrote them off. Because I've been seeing that a lot lately. Um,
Yeah, that's another thing I could advise you. Don't throw away your phone. Don't throw away your computer. Look, you can't escape it. It don't matter what device you get. Look, just keep your phone. All right. Don't, no, just ignore it, because they want to get a reaction out of you. I mean, now if you do have a considerable amount of large amount of money in on your phone, I would consider protecting. Get that off of your phone. I mean, I would minimize your life down to where they can't steal your money, essentially. But other than that, there's no device you're going to get. It don't matter how many uh, um, what do they call it, LAN network, whatever device firewalls you get on your Wi-Fi. It don't even that none of that matters.
mm,
I've been out in the middle of a field with no electronic device on me, like out in the middle of
yep.
nowhere. Because I go out on walks when I go out to my grandma's house. She lives way out in the middle of nowhere, and I'll go out in the middle of a field, like out in the middle of nowhere, with nothing on me, in my bare feet, and they're still hitting me. So
Yep. They done that to me in the swamp. And I'm talking about
yeah,
the hunting camps had generators in them. There was no electricity nowhere and still got hit. So yeah. Mm.
yeah. So to answer your question, yeah, I do believe that they can track you by your neuro signature or whatever
Yeah.
before.
And that's why that's good advice because a lot of people do throw away their phones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, and see, I like telling people to try to find people in the TI community, that are real TIs that, and develop relationships with them. You got so many fakes though these days that, man, some of them seem so real, but they always mess up and do something though. And you can always see through them. You know what I'm saying? You know,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of why I got off. I've really good for now. I'm getting off social media. I mean, I had people like blow up on me when I was on calls out of nowhere
oh
and
yeah, there's a
stuff.
lot of, yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
because
don't know.
I seen you twice. One time you were homeless in Iowa, and I was giving you some homeless shelters that I went to when I was targeted in Iowa. And then boom, your account just disappeared. And then you
Yeah.
had another account that just disappeared. So and then you explained to me social media is just too much. Too many, it's all controlled. A lot of controlled opposition on there.
Yeah. I believe
Um,
at that time they were gang stalking me and like they had all these people hitting me up that were perps and I just completely
right.
got off, just deleted it because it's just a waste of time. You're not getting anywhere. So it's
Right. And then, because they also like to get responses out of you. That way they can log it into their R&M system. A lot of the reactions from gang stalking gets logged into the system. And it helps target you even more. You know what I'm saying? Like responses, when you respond to something, it gets logged into the R&M supercomputer. As far as what would you call that? Man, see, they took the word out of my head. Starts with a P.
um I don't really know. I don't,
See, they do this to me, man. They get me in words. It starts with a P. It's what they do to you to uh kind of control the narrative of your videos getting seen, which is why I post my videos everywhere so they will get seen. What is that?
I know
See, I'm
like
gonna remember if
like an
somebody's gonna
algorithm.
correct me in the comments.
I know like an
Algorithms.
algorithm.
They don't start with a P. It's
Yeah.
kind of like that because some people say the supercomputer helps come up with these algorithms of these stalkers and stuff to run
Yeah.
on you and stuff like that. So uh so when you respond, when you ignore it, you don't feed into that thing where it can loop and feed back on you because it's kind of like hyper game. So every time you react, it's going to come with another thing to make you react even more. It's just all a bunch of BS in the end.
Yeah, and it's to me what's even more fascinating than this happening to me is how do these people that are doing this live with themselves? Like sometimes I wonder, like, do these people feel okay, like with themselves, like doing this to other people? And a lot of the people doing the gang stalking, they have duped into thinking that they're patriots or, these people aren't that intelligent. The people that are convinced,
Vigilantes, yeah.
yeah, vigilant, like we're making America great again by, get like messing with these methamphetamine users and torturing people. There's no excuse to torture anybody.
And it's
Uh,
kind of like the mad scientist syndrome. And to me, it's
yeah,
no worse than the psychology of a serial killer.
yeah,
They
and
hurt people and they have no conscience. They get
that's what
off
I
on
was That's what I was going to say. These people are literally monsters. They are literally in my book. They're right there with pedophiles, people that rape kids, people that rape women, and people that are serial
no
killers.
conscience.
They're right up there, and they need to be tried as such. When this gets exposed, these people need to be tried on that level of criminality. I mean,
Oh,
it's
definitely.
it's definitely right up there. I mean, there's no excuse for it. And the fact that they feel justified in doing it is even worse. I mean, that's even worse. If you think what you're doing is right, or you're somehow making the world better by killing and torturing people. I mean, I don't know. These people are throwbacks from like one of Hitler's Nazi concentration camps or something. I don't,
And I feel like they ain't doing nothing, but they're going to get used up and spit out too one day. It's going to
yeah,
come to them.
and I believe a lot of people that are doing this are actually they're having that threat hung over their head. Like if you don't do this, we're gonna do this program on you too, which is
Right.
sad. Which is sad too. But there's no way they can get me to do this program. I'd be like, you got to
Me
kill me.
neither.
Just like if I was in prison and somebody said, well, you're either going to be my boyfriend. And I say, well, you're going to have to kill me. We're going to have to, you know what I mean?
Right,
You're just going to have to kill me then because you're going to have to stab me up or something because there's no way I'm going to be following you around holding your pocket. You know what I mean?
right.
There, there's no way. And so, uh, you know, the people, uh, the people that are doing this are just, I just don't understand. I mean, like if they approached me and they say, "Hey, Andrew, we'll give you a brand new car, a new house, and then we'll pay you $300,000 a year. All you gotta do is just follow people around and torture them. We'll give you this van, and you can just follow people around." I would say, "There's no way in hell I would do that for all the money in the world." I mean, because you would never. I mean, how could another person do this? Like torturing blind women that are disabled and
Mm,
stuff. How could you even live with yourself?
right. And I guess that's what makes us different kind of people. Because,
Yeah.
I think a lot of target individuals would be the same way. They can't fathom it. Um, that we actually have consciousness. You know what I'm saying? Like, somebody, if I get feelings just for seeing a cat coming up meowing at our door, I feed the cat. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's like the we're human beings, and they don't. It's like they just don't care. It's crazy. So I mean, I bet they probably they don't have no animals in their life. Probably, surely
Yeah.
not.
And that's where I do bring spirituality into it, is because I have met other people that call themselves targets that they think it's all demonic. Like, the gang stalkers you see are really demons. They're not. Um, and, I'm going to say, no, this is real technology. These are real people. This is 100% metaphysically real. Um, this is actual technology being used. There's no warlocks and people running around, flying around, casting spells on you. This is real stuff. Now, the motivation of these people, I believe, is demonic. Like
Yeah,
I believe that this is literally the devil's motivation that has got into these people's hearts and their mind. I mean, this
yeah.
is disgusting. So that's why I believe this, where spirituality comes into this is, the one good thing that I've gotten from this program is before this started happening to me, I wasn't really sure about God, and about God and Jesus and stuff. And I'm not like somebody that's speaking in tongues. And now, I mean, I'm not like super religious and out here evangelizing everybody. But one good thing I've gotten from this program is now I know that God is real, because once you experience evil on this level, it's you
Same
can't.
here.
So
I posted that on X one day. That's the only good thing that's come out of this. Has made me have a closer relationship with God. You know, made me really, really see, hey, there's situations that there's no way out of it unless God done this for me and stuff like that. Sure, I don't have no income. Sure, I only get food assistance. But you know what? The stuff I went through, I was homeless on the streets 9 years, and I seen God do some stuff in some situations I was in that it wasn't me. It was angelic miracle like stuff that happened. And
yeah.
and I met some good people that just came out of nowhere when I was going through hard times. And I know you probably have too.
Yes. Yeah. I've heard your story, David. I think you have a powerful story. I think what you're doing now is great too. But I feel like once I kind of get together financially and stuff, um, trying to put together something like some type of outreach or something where, like, if, maybe get up on one of these websites and like, have like a hotline, like if people need help or if there's TIs thinking about killing themselves or something, or,
That'd be great.
something like
Or
that.
even get, find somebody, because some there's TIs. I know a TI right now who's a doctor, and and I'm not going to go into too much detail because I don't have the permission, but uh, I'm sure he wouldn't mind. But anyway, he's got millions of dollars. This dude does. He's helped me out of the blue a couple times, and I truly appreciate it. I never asked for it; he just did it. But he does practice Islam, and he went from Las Vegas. His whole family's getting tormented, very bad with weapons and stuff. So he went from Las Vegas and moved to Dubai and it's still going on in Dubai. Heavy torture and all that. And, he's got plenty of, so hopefully, so one day there'll be enough funds for, like you said, somebody could set up something and be like, hey, if a TI is homeless or something like that, boom, it's a whole program to help TIs. You know what I'm saying? That's what I was hoping it would come out, because there's a lot of TIs that are homeless and stuff like that and on their last leg. And I really hope somebody does open a program like that.
Yeah, something I thought about trying to get something. I mean, honestly, some people like you, I mean, people that have powerful stories. I mean, me and you that, literally, I mean, have just really traumatic events, I mean, there's been countless times I thought my life was going to get took. I was almost sure of it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, multiple times I've called my dad, my mom, and just kind of said my last words.
Me too. That's
Because
the
I was like,
crazy thing. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
so that a lot of those experiences build up a lot of trauma, and if you can make it out of those experiences, I mean, you can really help a lot of people.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I guess we can wrap the interview up. I really appreciate you giving me this interview. I am going to put it on YouTube if that's okay. I know you don't
yeah.
mind. And feel free to answer any of the comments that's under there. And I really admire your strength in being able to go out and try to work a job and, try to make it in life, you know what I'm saying? And not let these people get to you.
Yeah, yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, you can hit me up anytime, and you got my number. So yeah, thanks for letting me come on your call too. So
No
appreciate it.
problem. I'm going to stop the recording right now.